Hey everyone, Jeff Lee here, joined by Jesse Mineo of Canon. We're taking a sneak peek at some of the exciting IBC announcements. So obviously we're looking at the new C700, evolution of the new C300 line. So Jesse, I think we've all been waiting for this a little bit. We know there's been some internet rumors out there talking about sort of the evolution of the C family coming from the C300, C300 Mark II, C500 of course, and now this new C700. So obviously shape aside and the shoulder mount aside, can you tell us a little bit about the differences between this and say the C300 Mark II?
Sure. So the biggest differences are your onboard recording options and then your recording options to an external recorder, which obviously includes our codecs proprietary onboard recorder. So in camera to the CFast cards, in ProRes you could do 4K up to 30p, and in XF-ABC you could do 4K up to 60p. And then your HD 2K variant is up to 60p with ProRes and 120 in XF-ABC. Externally to our the Canon codecs recorder that goes onto the back of the camera, you could do 4.5K and 4K up to 120 frames per second, and that's all raw. Additionally, when you're shooting in 2K 12-bit, you could do ProRes 4444XQ to that codecs recorder. Internally, you also have 12-bit options and ProRes 44 when you're recording in 2K. So there's a lot of flexibility in terms of onboard recording and external recording.
Right, and now the codecs recorder that will go in the back is not limited to just the Canon RAW, right? You'll be able to support other codecs on that RAW recorder as well?
Yes, exactly, yeah. So you'll be able to record ProRes to that external recorder as well, yes, yeah.
So then you'll be able to benefit from recording on the codecs as ProRes or Canon RAW, on the CFast cards, as well as the SD card slot. So sort of a multitude of options for record.
Right, so you can actually do 4K RAW to the external recorder, 4K ProRes to the CFast cards, and an SD proxy or HD proxy to the SD cards.
Right, so that obviously opens up a lot of flexibilities for production. Right, and that's obviously sort of the design genesis of this camera, is that it's meant to be the A camera for all types of production, and obviously with the 4.5K and or the 4K, you're obviously gearing it for a lot of the cinematic release or like the Netflix, the video on demand type crowd, right? Because 4K acquisition.
Right, and as an A camera, we also wanted to give a variation in our sensor options. So what's really exciting is you can get a standard CMOS sensor similar to what's in the C300 Mark II, or a global shutter sensor. And that global shutter sensor obviously gives you full readout of the sensor, so any motion artifacts you get from strobes, flashes, or high action speed, with that global shutter you're obviously limiting what you would get with a scanning shutter standard sensor.
Right, and that's obviously just an evolution of the sensor technology. So the 4.5K sensor, sort of the standard shutter style, is not a global in nature, but it still has a very fast readout.
Yeah,
right?
it's incredibly fast. Yeah, you can expect the performance of the C300 Mark II and even faster with the new camera.
And is it my understanding that there will also be a way to fix that flash banding, the strobe lights and everything, within the standard shutter option if you get that?
Sure. A lot of these detailed features are TBD, but there is an ability to fix these flash banding issues. And the corrective function in the camera is something that we haven't had in any cameras before. So even with the standard scanning CMOS, you're still going to get a massive amount of limitation on those artifacts that we don't want from high movement or flashes. Yeah.
And options are the name of the game with Canon, I think. So we have EF mount here locking, but it'll also be available in PL mounts.
Yes. Yeah, that's the case. So EF now, it's standard as a locking mount, which especially as an A camera, that's what you want, using larger lenses, and PL mounts available as well.
And you also will be introducing a B4 mount, so for the ENG style lenses as well, optical adapter?
Sure, yeah, as a separate accessory, there's a B4 mount adapter, which is really exciting. So the flexibility of the system overall is really there for anyone who's trying to apply the camera to whatever working environment you're in.
And you mentioned flexibility. You can't obviously not notice the big screen on the side here. So you have a very ergonomic, very user-friendly controls on the operator side, but you also have an optional piece on the AC side, the assistant side, that has a lot of the similar functionality. Can you speak to that menu a little bit? Because that's brand new for you guys, right?
Sure. So if we spin the camera around, you'll see that we have this control unit on the side, which is detachable and can be operated via cable. But this gives your AC side complete control over the menu. There's a lockout function, and we're just, as an A camera, stepping this up to a level where we expect multiple hands to be operating and touching the camera throughout a shoot, and we want to make sure that the functionality, the ability to change your camera settings and operate the camera can happen on either side. So on a full-fledged production, this is going to operate as an A camera, as you would expect.
But the advantage of course, if you're not shooting in a full-fledged production, say running on dock, if you don't need this, you can just simply remove that or not include it at all in your build-out.
Exactly. As an accessory, you choose based on your production style or whether or not you would want to only rent the unit. It's not forced into the purchase.
And you mentioned that too with rentals. What's interesting, obviously, with the codex recorder, that will be probably geared for the high-end market, episodic television or narrative work. But this will support the same sort of Canon RAW workflow that we're all used to. So a lot of third-party support via Atomos or Convergent Design.
Right. In 4K, to the extent of the limitation of the external recorder, we expect full functionality with third-party recorders. We collaborate deeply with Atomos, Convergent Design, and we make sure that that functionality is there.
And the nice thing too about this, I noticed, if I may spin this around to the front side here, we have all these sort of power ports that sort of currently covered by the control port, but we'll probably get some insert shots, and you'll see that you have a lot of this sort of lens control and the 12-pin Hiroshi mount for the ENG lenses or the Cine servo like this. Right. So you guys have obviously built it up in that regard to become this sort of full-featured, flexible, modular design.
Exactly, yeah. And obviously your XLR inputs, everything that you would expect, 12-volt, 24-volt, as much flexibility that we could integrate into the camera for the expectation on a full-fledged production. Yeah.
And going back very quickly, if we may, back to the other side, there's of course this really exciting viewfinder option as well. So this is a full HD 1920 by 1080 OLED screen, or viewfinder, I should say. What looks like it has full controls.
Yes, yeah. So we wanted to make sure that your menu operation, adjusting your functions and assignable buttons were offered on the unit itself. So you have two assignable buttons here, and you're selecting control dial. So for easy operation of the camera without having to remove your face from the viewfinder, that was really what we considered in the design. There's also a joystick in the back here for toggling through the menu. So whatever you're really comfortable with in operating the camera, you'll feel, if you have any experience with the C300 Mark II, that similar form and function on the EVF that you would use on the camera itself. Yeah.
And it looks like it's the same data connector, so would this be backwards compatible with, say, a C300 Mark II?
Right, yeah, so this will work with the C300 Mark II as well. So if you were to purchase this as an accessory and you're using C300 Mark IIs on set, you could very easily use it with the C300 Mark II also.
I mean, we're all looking forward to this because I think Canon has always had a long history of fantastic looking images on set. Folks have always commented on how good the C-series cameras looked, but you guys have always followed that sort of design tradition of small, compact dock, shooter, running gun. But now with this, you have that sort of full-featured option to go between all those various options. Right. So obviously announced at IBC. What are we looking at in terms of shipping time? Like when do you think we'll start seeing these on the streets?
The camera will be shipping by the end of this year, and that's the recorder as well. We expect a firmware update to come out shortly thereafter that will give you the full features in terms of resolutions and frame rates, but the camera and the recorder will both be shipping by the end of this year.
And I know we touched on this briefly, but I think we need to stress the importance that there will be options for the standard shutter, the global shutter option, which is brand new for you guys, a true global shutter, and it's but it's service level swappable between the locking EF and the PL mount. Is that correct?
Yes, and the sensors are swappable as well. We're not sure yet if you'll be able to go back and forth. It might be a one-way swap, but you can swap between global shutter and the standard sensor, and the mounting, same as C300 Mark II, we can swap the mounts at a service facility. Yeah.
Fantastic. And obviously, maybe it's a little early, maybe presumptuous on my part to assume, but it sounds like you're building an ecosystem that could, in the future, support different resolutions, different mounts, a whole bunch of different options, which I'm sure are just being tossed around at Canon HQ right now. Right.
So we can't really speak to what's coming in the future. Quite frankly, I'm not sure. But what we do know is there's a level of modularity here that we haven't seen in any other Canon cinema product. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, once you look at this, you get the full idea that this is built to be sort of very modular and adaptable to technology as it changes. So
really, it comes with our response to the market and speaking with end users and seeing what they want out of a full system. On that line, something that we wanted to include that was a huge request with people who were shooting C500 with RAW was now our RAW files, you can adjust white balance and ISO in post. So that's no longer a baked-in function of the RAW format. Now when you record RAW, your ISO level and white balance is completely adjustable in post.
So it's not really like a full revision of the RAW. It's sort of like a .5 release, if you will. Exactly. Same .RMF type files, but just like you mentioned, you pull out the ISO and the white balance options to the user in the debayer process in post.
Same workflow, same file format, but there's just that added flexibility of ISO and white balance adjustment.
Right. So obviously all the favorite NLEs and color correction software will fully support it, I'm sure. If
Yes.
it hasn't already, I'm sure it will be soon.
Right, and our Canon, our new version of the Canon RAW developer software will allow you to export ProRes or DPX and give you the same functionality that the RAW development software gives you now with C500 RAW, but with the added flexibility of the ISO and white balance adjustment.
All right. Great. So also some new developments on the production monitor front, reference monitors, right? You will be announcing at IBC's 2 new monitors, sort of a update to the very popular 2410 as well as the 17-inch model.
Right, so we have the DPV 2420 and the DPV 1710. And these are 2 HDR monitors. We're really excited to be introducing them. We're really deeply invested in this HDR workflow, and we want to make sure that when people are shooting in HDR that they have an equivalent quality and monitoring ability, so that when they really truly know what's being captured. So yeah, it's something that everyone should stay tuned and dive into, because if you're really looking at your workflow end to end, monitoring at this level is really critical.
Right. And obviously, you know, for the longest time, we've been sort of limited by the monitor technology, and it's just great to see at this point we've been able to catch up a little bit with the technology that you guys are introducing. Right. Like you said, to be able to monitor HDR on set, because we can capture this high dynamic range, you know, for the longest time now.
Right. Right, exactly, especially monitoring at 4K and UHD, so we're not only giving you the resolution there, but the brightness levels and the dynamic range. Having all of that is really crucial if you really want to see the image you're capturing.
Great. So definitely a must-see at IBC for sure. Definitely for those attending, you gotta check it out. Also, you guys are introducing sort of the follow-up to the popular XC10. So, of course, sort of a hybrid creature, if you really think about it. It's a stills camera, it's a video camera, you know, 4K live, you know, being able to pull stills directly from the 4K video files is the biggest selling point. This has been updated a little bit. You can sort of tell, of course, with the big audio module on top. But what else are we looking at with this? What else is new?
Sure. So, like you were saying, a 4K video. 12 megapixel still frames, 12 stops the dynamic range with Canon log, but we're adding this XLR module, which is actually also compatible with the C300 Mark II. So this module would work just fine with that camera as well. It gives you XLR input into the camera, and different from the XC10 is this Hiroshi connection here to plug the accessory into the camera. So you're getting full, you know, professional XLR input to the camera, which isn't available on the XC10. Additionally, you're getting color matrix modes with the camera that help you to match C300 Mark II and obviously in the future the C700. So you're able to shoot while you're in Rec 709, go into let's say a production matrix. So if you're on set and that's the matrix that is most appealing to you and that's what your C300 Mark II set in, you can match the XC10 and get a great matching color profile. And again, Canon log, 12 stops of dynamic range, 4K, 305 megabits per second. It's a really, really dense file that you're getting out of the camera with a lot of flexibility. So it's a great B/C camera to the Cinema EOS line.
So this is great. Obviously, you have sort of a really nice, well-rounded lineup now, from XC15 to C300 Mark II, and now the C700, coming from sort of all levels of production. So, thanks so much for joining us for this sort of sneak peek at what you guys are announcing at IBC. Look forward to seeing it at the show, of course. But if you're not able to make it, by all means, once these cameras come back stateside, we'll be sure to have them here at all the Able locations and definitely do a couple of events centered around it.
Definitely, yeah,
right.
without a doubt.
Jesse, thank you again so much, and thank you for watching. That's it for now. We'll catch you next time.